Hi, I'm Bev Reed, and I'm your past district governor in District 5080. I was asked to kind of share my governor journey and what it has been like. But before I do that, what I'd like to say is I'm so glad that you're a Rotarian, and I'm so glad that you're involved in your club. But there's a lot to learn and to enjoy outside of your club. So think about it. What would you do if you got outside of your club? Maybe you would do something with another club and your districts and your clubs can work together. Or maybe you think of an opportunity for you to work as well and volunteer your time in the district, or maybe even zone. There's just lots of opportunities. So give that some thought. So my journey as a Rotarian, well, I'll tell you one thing. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be at all. It was much, much more. My boss had asked me to join a club because he wanted me to get involved in the north end of our city in Spokane and start developing relationships with other professionals in the area. And so I did. And I tell you, the group that I joined, Aurora Northwest Rotary, is my home club. It has been for my whole journey. And I joined December of 2003. But where we were meeting was a little scary place. You walked up these steep stairs and you sat down. It was close. It was tight. I think it was the only in and out exit there. I don't know. I never saw another one. But it was still home. It was still a great place to be. There was very few women in my club then, but that's okay because I was used to working with lots of guys in my work. And our sitting president at the time occasionally would start off his thought for a day with a dirty joke. Well, I just kind of sat back and didn't say anything, but I thought this is pretty interesting. But I tell you what, in that December month, we did our first project, and that's what got me sold. My club had such passion for service. And we reached out to 40 low-income families that had been identified, and through our fundraising, we're able to provide a significant amount of food to each of those families, as well as providing an age-appropriate book for every child in the family. We as Rotarians were asked to find maybe what the families needed or the children needed so they could have some presents underneath their tree. When I went and delivered to my family, there was basically barely a subfloor there. And I walked on in, and they didn't even have enough countertop space for me to put all the food that was there. They were barely surviving, and they definitely were not thriving. And I walked out and I said, okay, this is where I belong. And a couple days later, we had our Christmas party, and people were sharing their stories, and I was all in. That's what I wanted to do to serve. So that was in 2003. 2010, I was asked to be the president of the club. And I actually was asked to move up a year because a person before me with work and family obligations, they just didn't have the time to do that. So I did. So maybe not as much training as I would have liked to have had, but I went through and I took it on. And at our first meeting that we had, our first fireside, I asked folks, I gave each a blank piece of paper, and I wrote on the blackboard, lose it, keep it, start it. Because it was important that I had the voice of the club. And are we going to always do what we've always done, or do we want to maybe, change things up? So they wrote their recommendations down, and I tallied the results, and at our next board meeting, I presented those results. It wasn't exactly a scientific strategic plan now, was it? But at least it was a voice, and it got us going for the path of what we wanted to do for that year. And we had a great year. Well, I guess I got a little bit of an itch for Rotary. And so I had an opportunity that they said, would you consider being an assistant governor? That you're just there to support the governor in X number of clubs in your local area. Because one of the assistant governors that was sitting in that position was going to be relocating to another part of the country, and they needed somebody to replace her. And so I took on that position, and that was really fun. But again, not a lot of training that was put forth for me, but it was fun, and it was really a great way for me to meet people and see what was happening outside of my own club. In addition to that, I was one of the staff for RLI, Rotary Leadership Institute. And so that was, again, an opportunity that I helped with other trainers provide new ideas and things for people to consider at their club level. And so we did that, and there was a lot of group discussion, so I had my ears open. What are their needs? What are they struggling with? And what can we do as a district to help them? And it was a great experience. And I must have been doing an okay job, because all of a sudden people started saying, Bev, when are you going to throw your name in to be district governor? Well, no, I'm not going to do that. I mean, I had a full-time job. It was a huge job, and I can't take off from my work to do that. As well as I have two children that I'm caring for. Well, the time came. Bill and I had a lot of conversation, and so I threw my name in the hat. And they said, let's take it. We want you to do it. Well, this instance, there was just a lot of opportunity for training, and it was a several-year process to prepare you to be a district governor. And I've been listening to clubs already a lot as an assistant governor to what their needs are. And before you take the responsibility of that job in July, you spend some time getting to know who your presidents will be during your time, as well as assistant governors, and finding how you can best serve your district and provide services to the district. So I went around area by area. There's 10 in our district. Each of the areas may have 4 to even 10 clubs. And so I would go on in and I would meet with each of those incoming presidents and say, what's great happening in your club? And we would all share, and I had the old newsprint, and I was writing it all down. And then I said, well, how could you plus something like that? And so they would share opportunities, and we went on around, and that talk took a bit of time. We took a break, and then we came back, and I said, okay, now let's look at what are the gaps in your club. Well, people have kind of already bonded, so they were willing to share, and so they would. And it was interesting for those that had gaps of a particular situation. There was probably another club that had just shared how that was such a positive place for them. So I just kind of sat back and watched these Rotarians sharing their ideas from one club to another, and it was wonderful. So through that, and again, I've been kind of planning on this for quite some time, and so I'd kind of put together some ideas of what we could do for training, and that was an easy thing because that's something that I had done professionally in my work. And so I said, so what kind of things could we as a district do to help your club? And so again, I marked it down on my big whiteboard that I had, my newsprint. And when it was all said and done, I said, well, let me give you something to share if you think this would help. And I gave them a piece of paper that I've been planning on for quite some time, where I thought trainings might be helpful for their club and for their area. Well, everything that they'd asked for was pretty much on that piece of paper. So in April, before I was to take being the district governor, we had our district leadership training assembly like we do every year, but we upped the deal a little bit, and we offered over 50 classes for people to learn and to bring all kinds of folks in to those meetings from their club. And it was just a wonderful opportunity. Well, the time rolled around. We're now July 1. It's time for me to be the district governor. And yeah, we are on the road for 6 months, and we put 25,000 miles on our car. But it was just an amazing experience. But with any preparation that I did, either before or while I was working in the district, there were 3 key words I always asked. I asked the question, why? Why are you doing it? Is it still effective, right? So the question, why? And then I listened. I listened to really what they had to say. And then my thought was, what can I do to provide service? So that's something for, I think, all of us to think about. What's the why? And then you intentionally, actively listen. And then what can we do to provide service? So I had a wonderful time as district governor. And usually after that, governor, I mean, gosh, it takes a lot of energy to do that. So usually people sit back, and maybe after a while, 6 months, year, 2 years, there might be other opportunities for the district governor to get re-engaged in serving Rotary. Well, that didn't really happen to me. I guess there's no rest for the weary. Actually, while I was still a district governor, I was asked if I would come to the Zone Institute and assist them in putting a training on for creating leaders and leadership in the district. So I did that, and it was wonderful. It was just a fun thing to do. And then the following year, this was actually just, a year ago last November, I was asked if I would come on in, as we refer to as GETS and NATS. It's the Governor-elect Training Seminar and the Governor Nominee Training Seminar, where all the governor-elects and the governor's nominee with 30 districts get together for some extensive training. So I was asked to be one of the faculty for that, and it was quite an honor. So I loved it. I went on in, and gosh, I had just finished my governor year, so I knew what they were going through, and when it's time for them to give their video speeches, my hands were as wet as their were, because I knew it, it hadn't been that long since I'd done it. But it was a wonderful experience. And I found out that usually if you do a good job and your scores are high, that the Rotary International Director will ask you back the next year. So it's coming time that I thought I should be hearing something, and I got a call. And I was invited back to be on the faculty team again, and to even join the team at looking at the curriculum. But the person that shared this message with me was a Rotary International Director-elect, Vicki Pullitz. And she said, Bev, you're great with that, and I enjoyed working with you, but I have another thing I want you to consider. Well, consider is always one of those words I use, and you kind of want to know where it's going to be going. She said, would you consider, when I'm the Rotary International Director, if you would be a co-chair for the Zone Institute? It would be for 2021 and 2022. Well, let's think about it. That's like putting on a district conference times 30, because there's 30 districts that come on in. Needless to say, I did not say yes right away. Instead, I went out and I reached out to my mentors throughout the zone, and I said, tell me about this task and what is it like? And so they did. They were very honest. They shared with me how much time it would take and what it would do, but they encouraged me to take the position. So I did. Crazy me. And so I'm in that journey actually right now, where planning the institute that will be happening in 2021 and 2022, and so that's going on. In addition to that, right now, for those of you that are presidents, you got that opportunity to go to the President-elect Training Seminar, or PETS, which always happens in February in your preparation to be your club president. Well, a lot of those positions rotate among the 9 districts, and it just so happened it was coming up time, and I knew this a couple of years ago, that our district would be putting forth the name to be the PETS chair. And yeah, I raised my hand on that one too. So I'm in the midst of working through that process right now, preparing those 530 presidents across 9 districts for their upcoming experience. Of course, our operations committee is an amazing group of people, and I'm also working very closely with all the district governor-elects, because the trainers, or the people that will be coming on in as incoming presidents, will be their class. A lot of training, and the thing is, when I signed up for this, we didn't have any thought of COVID-19, did we? And so the thought of maybe turning that whole training into a virtual experience is quite a thing. But I kind of embrace change, and so there you go. Here we are. And in addition to that, one other little thing that I do, not really, it's not that little, but it's fun also, is I'm the assistant coordinator for the foundation for our Zone 27. So needless to say, my hands are full. I maybe have retired, but I am as busy as I ever was. So if I knew now or before what I was going to be involved in, would I have said yes to all of this? Would have I said yes to joining Rotary and being involved like I would have? Absolutely. Without a doubt. It has been one of the most joyful experiences I've had with the friendships that I have created across our district, across our zone, internationally. It has just been amazing. So I challenge you. What does your journey look like as a Rotarian? Now, I'm not saying that you may want to sign up for my crazy journey as being district governor and being involved pretty significantly in the zone level, but what does yours look like? Maybe it's a different committee within your club that you've always been comfortable in that same committee. Maybe you want to stretch yourself and be involved in a little bit more or help take on a new project within your club. But also there's great district opportunities to be involved in a committee and learn, because that's the thing that I really found is the more I got outside and involved outside of my club, the more I learned and what I could bring back to my own club and to maybe look at those things if it worked well. So whatever your journey it is, enjoy it. Have a wonderful time, because Rotary is an amazing organization. And we are here to serve. Thank you for listening to me, and have a wonderful day. Take care.